So, I've been reading some more webtoon recently, and one of them, if you couldn't tell from the title and thumbnail, is Purple Hyacinth, and, well, that's what we're talking about today, because it is really good. But, real quick, before we get into talking about Purple Hyacinth and why I think you should read it as well, if you aren't already, let's play rock, paper, scissors. If you lose, you hit the sub button. If you don't, well, go about your day, do whatever you want. I'm not really fussed. On shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. If you're lost, hit the sub button while you're down there. Maybe consider leaving a like and hitting the notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the videos I'm putting out. And it'd be really cool if we could hit 100 subs by the end of the year. So even if you did not lose the rock, paper, scissors, maybe consider hitting the sub button, because hitting 100 by the end of the year, like I said, would be pretty pog. Anyway, now that's all out the way. Purple Hyacinth. Oh my god. I mean, I'd heard it was good. Right? I knew it was good. But I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. So, what makes Purple Hyacinth so great? Well, let's first talk about the most notable thing that if you do read it over on Webtoon, you'll notice immediately. And that is the music. This is the first Webtoon I've read. It's also the second Webtoon I've read ever, so that's probably why. But it's the first Webtoon I've read that has music integrated into the story, as in, like, music plays while you're reading it. And let me tell you, you probably don't need me to tell you this, but adding music to images tends to create a bigger atmosphere. It tends to draw you in more. You know, it makes the scene feel more alive. It's really bloody good, and it feels great. Like, the music fits the tone for the most part. There's a few where, like, it's a little bit, not necessarily wrong, but something feels a little bit off. But other than those, like, fringe cases, I've only noticed, like, one in the first, like, 25 chapters or so. But, like, the music fits the scenes really well. It really adds the atmosphere. Sometimes it even, like, makes this, it completes the scene, really. That's what the music does. I sound super pretentious saying that, but the music really does complete the scene. And outside of that, we have the art style. I do actually quite like the art style. Now, I'm very early in, and you can definitely tell that this is early stages stuff, because there are a few scenes where the artwork is a bit rough, some shots are a bit jank, but, I mean, I can't draw for shit, so I'm not going to complain about that. But I really like the art style. I love the aesthetic choices that are taken. I'm not much of an artist. I don't know much about art or drawing, so I'm not really gonna go, oh yes, I really like the shading and the other artsy-fartsy words that people use, because I don't fucking know them. But I do like the way it looks. It looks pretty, at least in my eyes. Especially the close-up shots we get of characters. They tend to be really good, as you'd imagine they would be, given that, you know, you can get more detail in with a close-up shot. But yeah, I really like the art style. I love the character designs as well. We'll mention that here. The character designs, they are regular people. Wow, shocking, crazy, wild. But they are regular people, and they have really good, interesting character designs. I really like them. Speaking of the characters, let's get into it. The characters all have a brilliant dynamic with each other. They all bounce off each other really well. They all interact really well. It doesn't feel forced. The dialogue is really well written. That's one thing I'll tell you. The dialogue is really well written. But as for the characters themselves, let's talk about them. So we have our main character, Lauren Sinclair, a police officer in this city. And all the police officers in the city wear masks for identity reasons, even though in the age of the internet, which I don't think they're in given how they're operating, but given the age of the internet, their identities would be known by everyone. I don't know why I mentioned that. It's completely irrelevant. But oh god, the characters. What was I saying? I completely threw off my own train of thought with that mini tangent I went on. For fuck's sake, man. Yeah. Yes, Lauren. She's a very serious cop for the most part. She's also incredibly good at her job, due to her having a unique ability. She can hear lies. And when you're reading this, the beautiful touch that I find fantastic is that lies that Lauren hears are written in red. They are highlighted in red instead of just being black text, so that you as the reader can also know what is and isn't a lie. And most of the lies you'll typically find out the truth for shortly after, or you can infer the truth from. pretty easily. But every now and then we'll get one that isn't focused on. We know it's a lie, but perhaps Lauren doesn't have time to pursue it, or ponder on it too much, or the character who says it leaves. And so it creates this interesting dynamic of, you know when people aren't telling the truth, which completely shifts how you can tell a mystery story, which is what this is. And I love it. I love this little gimmick. It's not a massive thing, but it's really interesting, and it makes Lauren as a character very, very interesting. My vocabulary is lacking. And then we also have a few other members of the police department. We have Keem, K-Y-M. I assume I'm saying that right. Keem? Keem? Keim? Keem? Keim? One of the two. I'm going to say Keem, because that's how I was reading it. Who is gung-ho, full of energy, yeah, type. Very bouncy. Annoying to some, if, you know, I'm sure. Well, as we see in the story with how she interacts with Will, who is another member of the police department, a close friend of Keem and Lawrence, who tends to get wound up by Keem quite a lot. And he's just he's probably the one we have the least on. He's just a guy. And then we have the namesake of the series. Yes, because Purple Hyacinth isn't just a name. Well, it is, but it's not just any name. It is the name of the most notorious assassin in the city. The Purple Hyacinth, who gets his name because at the scene of all of his murders he leaves a flower. Specifically a purple hyacinth. You can figure out why if you read the story. I'm not going to give you too many spoilers. I'm not going to tell you who the purple hyacinth is or what his name is. You do find that out relatively early on, but I'm going to leave it a mystery in case you haven't read it yet. I highly recommend you do. Go read it. It's really good. But as you can imagine, the purple hyacinth and our main character Lauren do end up interacting, and it is their interactions that are easily the most enjoyable to watch. Understandably, they are effectively our two main characters. They are deuteragonists. The Purple Hyacinth and Lauren Sinclair, they have brilliant character chemistry. Basically everyone in this story has great chemistry with each other. They bounce off each other wonderfully. I love how all the characters are written. All their dynamics are really good and just draw you in. That's one thing that this story does really, really well. It was really hard to stop reading to go to sleep because it was 3 in the morning and I was still reading it. Yeah, that kind of just happens. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just obsessive and that doesn't happen to everyone, but I found it, you know, it drew me in really well. But that's also because I do have an appetite for mystery and psychological type things, because you can't ignore that there is a psychological aspect to this with the whole lying thing. And yeah, Purple Hyacinth is absolutely fantastic. If you have considered reading it, or have heard other people suggest reading it, go do it. It's super good. Will I make more videos on it in the future? Probably not. I'm definitely just going to keep it to a pleasure read. You know, I read it for myself, because that's one thing with Tower of God is I can't just read Tower of God anymore. I have to make videos of me reading it, so there is a certain aspect of enjoyment for it that I've lost, but I've also gained an entirely other one because I love recording it. But Purple Hyacinth I want to keep as just I read this at my own leisure, and by my own leisure it means I'll probably finish it by the end of the week. Well, I'll probably finish it by the time this video is going up anyway. But yeah, go read Purple Hyacinth, and if you made this far in the video, drop some webtoon suggestions in the comments so I can find some more really good stories, and I'll probably end up making videos on them. And if you are the one that suggested it, I will put your comment in the video if you would like. Anyway, I've been Animosity, you've been you, and I hope to see you next time for another video. Ta-ta for now.